Hello friends, today I am going to take Hindu paper, and in this series we will be covering mostly editorial part, and I will also take the important parts of newspaper. For example, the important articles of any writer, any famous public personality, and I will cover the major points. So let's begin with the editorial section. The first editorial section, we will take the death debate. So what happened? Justice Joseph views on abolishing capital punishment require serious consideration. What happened is Justice Joseph has just given the remark on death penalty, and he said death penalty should altogether go. So here we need to see what is the provisions of the death penalty and why it should not be there. In this article, the writer also talked about the same. So first, this rarest of the rare cases, the death penalty can be awarded. This case was Bachchan Singh case 1918. This is important to remember. Another thing is what Justice Joseph has considered. It is a law commission report. In its report in 2015, it said the constitutional regulation of capital punishment attempted in that case has failed to prevent death sentences from being arbitrarily and frequently imposed. It means if there is any arbitrariness in giving death sentence, as it is happening in other district courts and high courts, and later when it comes to Supreme Court, finally the reason get changed, it means there is a sense of arbitrariness. So in such cases, if there is any arbitrariness and it is not getting removed, it's better to change the law. What is the meant in this whole particular editorial? I will just read the last line. The treatment of death row prisoners has been humanized, and there is scope for judicial review even against a sovereign decision denying clemency. If there still prevails a perception of arbitrariness in the way death sentence is awarded, the only lasting solution is their abolition. So this is the core of it. Next editorial is wage track. This is ILO's report, underlines the need of wage expansion that is robust, and also this is ILO report. Some facts are there. You may use some facts in essay, not necessary to go through this. Next article we will take neighborhood first. So what happened is Maldives, India has recently Prime Minister Narendra Modi has visited Maldives. So the writer quote there was a lot of first in his visit. Among them, this was Modi's first visit to the Maldives, the only country in South Asia he had not yet visited in his tenure. So why he has taken this shift? So let's just assume, and this was the first Modi has visited any swearing ceremony. So we'll be analyzing the neighborhood first and what does writer mean about the neighborhood first. So we'll go to the India's policy and how it changed. So the writer mentioned the Wuhan summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Sochi retreat with Russian President merited much attention. What exactly changes? First the article talked about the India-Nepal relations. So India was very much against Mr. Oli when he was elected first, and but in 2018 he was again elected, and already Sushma Swaraj has been visited Nepal. Even Modi is also planning to go Nepal. So there is a shift in India and Nepal relation. Another thing is with Maldives. Maldives, it was the same thing when the Abdullah Yaman, the previous regime, they had taken some visa provision changed. India took it very, like they have given the statement like it's country sovereignty, they can change the visa policy. So they didn't take this such issues very seriously before. They were just had this big brotherly attitude. Okay, so next we will go through the change in the India, Bhutan, India, Bangladesh, and India, Sri Lanka. So now there is an election is due in these three countries. So writer wrote about there is a no public political statement that could be construed as interference or preference of one side even over the other. Like before it was there, like India used to take some side, like it happened in Nepal case, like in Bangladesh, India take side of Sheikh Hasina, and in Bhutan also India does the same thing. In Sri Lanka also the current government and charges daily newspaper it is coming. So but India is not doing that. Okay, now coming to the India-Afghanistan relations, there is a very big shift. India before, it was against any engagement with the Taliban, but recently in Moscow conference, India was taken participated in particular conference, and and he also, and both the leaders like Mr. Modi and in public speech Mr. Ghani stressed that the Islamist state and foreign terrorist was the problem. It means the foreign terrorist means Taliban is not foreign terrorist, it is inside terrorist. So it means Taliban, they are okay with the Taliban and they are ready to talk. So that's the major thing. Another major thing which is coming news nowadays is Kartarpur link. So what is happening is the Kartarpur corridor will be made, and because Kartarpur is a religious place for Sikhs, it's belong to Guru Nanak. So there is a corridor, and Indian Sikh community and visitors can go to Pakistan with. So it will be like facilitating them to, it's a people to people connection, and that is the actually solution for India-Pakistan relations. So here again, the no Indian minister has visited Pakistan since the Uri attack, but now two union ministers to Pakistan this week to join Prime Minister Imran Khan for the groundbreaking ceremony for the Kartarpur corridor has been taken place. So here again, they have shifted their foreign policy, their neighborhood policy, and they seem to be very mild and very, they are taking like very mildly they are taking. Okay, so again the writer wrote in the last, all these moves leads to the question, why has the government desires to make the change from playing big brother in the neighborhood to a more genial and avuncular version of its previous self. So there are two reasons they have given. One reasons they have given the Nepal and Maldives attitude towards India, and they were like didn't like India big brother attitude. So one reason is that. Another reason is the Chinese engagement with them, and India is not allowing to China to make relations neighbors, because it will be a harm to India if suppose China play a greater role in neighborhood. So because of that reason also India is taking that stance. After this post Wuhan also, even India is following cooperation and competition together policy. So in last, writer suggested whether it's a neighborhood 2.0 or merely a neighborhood 1.2.0. So it's just a conclusion. So this way this article got, okay, we completed. Another article is Together in an Earth-Centered World. This article talks about India-EU relation. And in this article, actually what happened is EU has recently released a strategy document, and though they had a 2004 EU-India declaration, but there is no significant changes has been taken. So what is now very significant is EU has quoted in this particular document, like it also mentioned a roadmap, okay, and which has been adrift from a while in the absence of clearly articulated strategy. A new strategy underscores a transformative shift in Brussels vis-a-vis India, as talks took of key focus such of the need to conclude a broader strategic partnership agreement, intensifying dialogue on Afghanistan and Central Asia, strengthening technical cooperation on fighting terrorism and countering radicalization, violent extremism, terrorist financing. So this is actually very major change, because they have now given the roadmap how they are going to engage with the India. So this is very significant change. Okay, so now we will come to this was the first point, what was the transformative shift. The second point, why this shift was this, the role of Donald Trump, because he is upending the global liberal order so dear of the Europeans, and China's rise in challenging very values of Brussels. This is the thing. Another fact what writer has mentioned in the article is India has good relations with EU member countries, but not EU as such. So so the writer quoted, now the shift is India-EU relation, because India is having the largest trading partner and biggest foreign investor. EU is India's largest trading partner and biggest foreign investor. So the relation should actually remain good, and should be, and they should also remember like signify the geostrategic importance of India and EU relation. And there is also a imperative to fulfill the India's security policies against terrorism or terror financing, etc. Okay, so now coming to the last part of this article, the EU is also taking part in the International Solar Alliance, and EU has invited India in World Food Program to transport the food to Somalia. So this is a something is a initiatives they have coordinated on the regional issues. So now the writer has written at last the how like this should happen, because they are quoting their national partners, but just quoting is not enough. They should also engage, like they should engage in security sector, they should engage in the terrorism and regional security. They should also, and what are the priority areas for them is cyber security, urbanization, environmental regeneration, skill development, what India can get from the EU. So this is the thing what the writer has mentioned. Okay, coming to the next article, this is about the cyclone Gaza. So the restriction part, this is not that much important. Coming to the front page, the front article is about the opposition rallies behind the farmers. So here what we need to see is, let's so here the two things we can connect this to paper 1, and paper 1 the portion is the new farmer movement. Okay, this is post independence development. So what happened, new farm movement is Setkari Sangathan, and we can connect to this, and they have also protested as under the banner of All India Kisan Sangharsh coordination, and first time Rahul Gandhi and Kejriwal and other leaders shared the stage, and they are this is a propaganda for the coming election. So you can read this along with the new farmer movement, what was the demands, and then it will be the comprehensive one. Okay, so coming to the next one. So another is not important, and coal secretary, here the important thing is this particular act, Prevention of Corruption Act. Okay, and army ready to women combat role vessels. So this much is enough. Thank you so much.